I'm going to open this up for public comments. We would like to hear from you. It's been 3 hours already. It's been a long and very, very interesting hearing. But please come all up, either up to the table, and we would appreciate if you keep your comments brief. And do identify yourselves for the record, please.
Try not to cut into lunchtime too much here.
We do
actually have a caucus meeting we're required to go to, so we'll be a little tardy.
That's
right.
okay. We do want to hear from you.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Stone and Cheeseborough, members of the committees, for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Department of Commerce, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, regarding the California Department of Fish and Wildlife OSPR program. My name is John Tarpley. I manage the Regional Operations Branch of the Emergency Response Division within NOAA's Office of Response and Restoration. My statement today will focus on NOAA's long-standing partnership with OSPR and NOAA's experience with OSPR's preparedness and response efforts and capabilities. I will also submit more detailed written comments. But here I want to emphasize that this statement represents the combined experience and opinion of many individuals and also multiple offices within NOAA who have worked directly with OSPR over the years. NOAA's Office of Response and Restoration has more than 30 years of experience responding to oil and chemical spills throughout the nation and the world. NOAA serves as a conduit for scientific information and coordination to the Federal On-Scene Coordinator via NOAA's scientific support coordinators as specified by the National Contingency Plan. NOAA's partnership with OSPR goes back to the early 90s, soon after the Lambert-Keene Sea Strand Oil Spill Prevention and Response Act was passed. NOAA spill scientists and contractors provided training for the new OSPR staff back then and have maintained strong working relationships ever since. The nexus between NOAA and OSPR is represented in many responses, preparedness activities, frequent trainings, and also research. My written statement also includes other projects and details that I can't have time to mention here. Ensuring preparedness for future emergencies is a challenge. As we know, effective preparation requires that spill responders have the proper tools and ability to adaptively manage the emergency. I'd like to highlight just a few examples where OSPR is some of the best in the country from NOAA's standpoint. First, California arguably has the most complete and up-to-date area contingency plans in the country. They lead the nation for their thoroughness and innovation. California's ACPs include more than 630 environmentally sensitive sites identified, site-specific protection strategies, prioritized geographic response plans, and many other supplemental plans for contingencies such as places of refuge, firefighting, marine salvage, etc. Their measure of commitment is also to protection. OSPR developed the innovative sensitive site strategy evaluation program, where OSPR works with oil spill response organizations to deploy the protection strategies in the ACPs to validate that strategy and also to validate the plan. Nowhere else in the country does this occur. Nobody else does this. Next, California, as you probably know, has more national marine sanctuaries than any other state in the country. As a sanctuary manager, NOAA is very concerned about oil spills and their impacts to these special marine areas. OSPR and the sanctuaries have worked together on many spills and projects, including tar balls, marine debris monitoring, marine mammal research, and recently the Sanctuary Oil Spill Working Group, where OSPR staff gave countless hours and time and expertise to help NOAA educate stakeholders and identify areas of additional research. On education, OSPR and NOAA frequently co-teach spill response courses such as environmental response to oil spills and shoreline cleanup assessment technique to those in response community. Regarding response, NOAA works regularly with states all throughout the country, and OSPR stands out as a leader in those response capabilities. No other state response organization includes such a cohesive field unit of environmental scientists, game wardens, and prevention specialists. OSPR not only brings response expertise and authority to spills, but also has a natural resource trustee perspective and authorities with experts in natural resource damage assessment and legal staff. OSPR's technical capability and oil spill response is among the best in the country. In fact, such strengths and expertise are the key reasons why NOAA brought OSPR personnel and responders to the Gulf Coast in 2010 and 11 to assist us with the Deepwater Horizon spill. OSPR staff were invaluable to shoreline cleanup assessment, data management, evaluating new response technologies, and also oiled wildlife response.
So I'm going to ask you to, if you would
All right.
wrap it up. And you're welcome, to, since you have written comments,
I'll
to
submit all
those,
that.
and we will put them in the record.
All right. So disbursements has been an issue. I'll just make a comment here that and I think it was brought up earlier, but obviously there's no 100% solution, no countermeasure is 100% effective. I think we all know that. Professor Judima's comments were on the mark. We need to select the proper and combination of response actions are critical at minimizing environmental damage. And dispersants, using consideration of chemical dispersants is not to be entered lightly. NOAA has trust resources and high investment in California, and you should also know, I think Mr. Cullen mentioned that OSPR has the most robust and stringent testing, product testing and certification requirements for oil spill cleanup agents in the country. So I'm confident that between OSPR, NOAA, the Coast Guard, and other stakeholders in the state that we make the most appropriate decisions to protect natural resources and people of the state. So in conclusion, following the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, we are all reminded of the fragility of our coastal ecosystems and dependence on coastal economies to the health and prosperity of our seas. NOAA is certainly committed to working with our state partners and federal partners, the oil industry and coastal communities to provide cutting-edge science to support robust and effective planning process to ensure we are prepared as possible should a spill occur in California coastal waters. Across NOAA, California OSPR is viewed as a national leader in oil spill planning and response capability, as an open-minded and trusted science-based agency, and one that invests heavily in protecting natural resources of this great state. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this statement today.
Thank you. Thank you. Other public comments?
Good morning, Chair Stone and members of the committee. I'm happy to be here. My name is Amy Trainer. I'm the Executive Director of the Environmental Action Committee of West Marin. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to comment today. I appreciate your concern in calling this hearing today and this gathering of information. And I want to echo Deb Self's comments about supporting AB 881 at the higher barrel tax rate. And the Environmental Action Committee did submit a comment letter in March to that effect. Some of the materials that I've handed out that I'd like to very briefly touch on August 1st, a coalition of statewide, national, and local environmental organizations sent a letter asking for a 21st century oil spill prevention and response system. While we believe, as you've heard today, that OSPR does many, many things well, there are examples from other states, such as Alaska, and some of the materials that I just handed out to you about prevention and response tugs, enhanced tractor tugs. These are the best available technology as far as prevention goes, yet the California coast is still lacking these critical, essential prevention assets. And so that is something that the Environmental Action Committee and this statewide coalition of environmental and fishing organizations is very much committed to working with the state collaboratively, but also expeditiously to look at ways of how can we come into that best available technology standard that is the foundation of the Limpert-Keene Sea Strand Act that has been implemented in other states. So one point I wanted to touch on, you know, there's not just a risk from oil tankers coming in through the Golden Gate. There are these thousands of other transits of non-cargo, non-tanker cargo vessels coming in that, as Chris Jones mentioned, carry up to 5 million gallons of heavy bunker fuel. So that's a tremendous risk. So the first panel someone mentioned, kind of looking at holistically at the fee structure, where is the risk coming from? It's not just tankers, it's non-tank vessels as well. Well, Washington State, more than 5 years ago, said, you know, we want to address this risk, and they ended up, through a state regulation, imposing a per transit fee on non-tank and tank vessels, saying they're basically allocating the risk of those vessels coming into the state waters, so they apportioned the fee based on a per transit basis, and it worked out quite well. It ended up being roughly $500 per vessel. So when you consider that these are the wealthiest corporations in the world, both the maritime shipping industry, the oil industry, for the risk that they're creating, we're saying, can we please have them pay for and address this risk that they're creating to our public trust resources? We think that's a matter of fairness. We think that is very much under the scope and purpose of the Limper-Keene Sea Strand Act, and so we're thankful that you're taking what we hope is this first step, taking this leadership initiative to get us there. So one of the other points of our letter is that California, unlike any other state, now has a statewide network of marine protected areas. 15 to 16% of our state waters have this incredible designation. And I just started a citizen science program in Marin County to start monitoring human uses within our MPAs. And so I'm very much concerned that from the dispersant perspective, that we have the prevention assets we need, but also from a response perspective that we have best available technology. Chris Jones mentioned these high-efficiency disc skimmers that have been out there for a couple years. He attended the OSPR Chevron Best Available Technology Conference and some Harvard Safety Committee meetings, and so what we're hoping, but haven't seen perhaps as much as we'd like, is a conversation about what are the steps that OSPR takes? How can the environmental community ensure that those new kinds of technology, both from a prevention and response perspective, get implemented, that the oil spill response organizations are requiring those oil spill contingency plan holders to have those new technologies on hand. So in conclusion, I support absolutely everything Chris Jones said. I support everything Deb Self said, especially about the precautionary principle. The California coast and our marine resources are unparalleled in the world. You know, as a former coastal commissioner, that we're looked at worldwide as a leader. And so I think we can get there. We have the law on the books to be a leader in prevention and response. I think as far as the United States goes, probably Alaska in some ways, but they've had federal funding, they've had legislation. So part of needing to pass AB 881 at the higher tax, barrel tax, is to ensure that OSPR has the capacity to address all of these important needs. I don't for a minute think that there's a lack of willingness, but I think it sounds like there may be a lack of capacity, and so we need to make sure that that funding is there. So in conclusion, we really look forward to working collaboratively, expeditiously to, you know, finding out what is the best available technology, looking at, you know, other routes that states, whether Washington or Alaska, have implemented, and getting there, feeling like we don't have to create the wheel. You know, we can kind of say, what does our law allow us to do, and look at those examples and utilize them. And then from a West Marin perspective, having a vessel of opportunity program so that you can have fishermen trained, which is some of what Chris Jones did up in Prince William Sound. You need fishermen to be in the water in their boats because to protect the mouth of the Bolinas Lagoon, the mouth of Drake Sestero, our only marine wilderness, and the mouth of Tamales Bay. So if you have fishermen that are trained, they can have the boom, things that you can't do sort of from the shoreline. Again, that's best available response policy, so that's a little more of what we're talking about. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Really would welcome a chance to sit down and talk further. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, thank you all. This was a very informative hearing, and we are adjourned.